Hi everyone, it's me, Little Bird. So in 1994, when all of this stuff was happening to me, I almost got addicted to a medication. A medication that I had prescribed because of the headaches that I was having. I also tried speed for the first time. In 94, on my last little stretch of school, I had been alienated by all of my best friends, and I started hanging out with different people, new friends. And I got invited to go for a ride with this young guy that had just finished getting this Bronco going. His dad gave him a Bronco. And they rebuilt the motor together. He was in grade 10. And my principal, he had asked me if I could walk a new student around because I was the newest student in that school. And I seemed to make friends very easily. So this girl needed friends. So I said, okay. I met her outside the office that day. That was the day I was going to go for a ride. And I don't remember her name. At lunchtime, when I was getting ready to go for this ride, these a couple of friends from high school asked me if I could go and get them some weed. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll go and do that. And I had this bright idea. These guys that are getting the weed, they're in my grade. They're in grade 11. The ones that I'm going for a ride with are in grade 10. And this girl that's new to school, she's in grade 10. So I said, do you want to meet some friends? She's like, yeah. I said, well, why don't you take my place and go for a ride with these guys? And the guy said, sure, no problem. Who is this? I said, she just started school here today. And she's in your guys' grade. I said, yeah, no problem. It's like, he goes, I guess you're going to get shotgun, because that's where Liz would have sat. So I get into the car with Murray and Steve, and we head down towards the store, and we turn off onto the highway from over there. And these guys had left at the same time, and they drove towards the towards Mamio, and there is an entryway, a road. This road that goes across the school, like in front of the school, because we're on the side of a highway. It stretches from all the way across the school, down to the store, and then down to this road. And they didn't go on the highway because he's not allowed to highway drive. So they went down the back roads. And I seen them turn down the back roads behind the school. I went and got our weed, and we heard sirens on the way back, and we had to pull over, and that these emergency vehicles pass. And we got to the school, and we heard about an accident that happened behind the school. And we didn't hear very much about it. And I was waiting for the kids to come back, and they didn't come back. And then one of the passengers that was in this vehicle told me that I was lucky that I didn't go for a ride that day. So, what happened? And he says, we had the right of way. So, we were traveling down that road, and at the second intersection, this truck with a bunch of rebar turned in and hit us. And this rebar so it went through that girl that was in the passenger seat. Because who was she? I didn't even know her name. I told him that she just started school that day. I burnt Murray's initials onto my ankle. Because he saved my life that day. By coming and asking me to go and get him some weed. My teacher for art, she tried to get me suspended or expelled from school before finals that semester. Her name was Mrs. Grant. And Mrs. Grant was a witch to me all year long. And I was failing art. And I'm very artistic. And I'm looking at all of my art projects, and I'm comparing them to the other people who had got higher. And one of my friends in class couldn't believe that his stick figure got a higher percentage than my art did, because he wasn't artistic. And this one day, I went and asked her, why do you insist on calling me Betsy? My name is Liz. She says, no, your name is Betsy. Your name is Betsy Kidder. I know who you are. Wow, this woman has got it hard for me. She is out to get me. And I finally went and asked her, can we speak? She says, yeah, we can speak. let's go into the counselor's office. So we go into the counselor's office, and she shuts the door, and I opened the door, and I left it ajar, about like this much, because I don't trust this woman. And I asked her, what is your problem with me? And she says, you don't recognize me? I said, no, I don't recognize you. I'm new here. Like, you've been my teacher all year long. And I don't understand what I did to deserve the way that you treat me. And every day that and it's not all the time, it's just been this past semester, since March, you've been calling me Betsy when you do attendance instead of Liz, like you did the first day of school. And I corrected you. She says, I know who you are, Betsy. You don't recognize me? She says, I'll tell you. When I got out of school, university, I took over for a Miss Houston Law. And you were in my class. And I'm like, yeah, that was like 5 years ago when I was in grade 7. She says, yeah, it was. And you embarrassed me. I was like, I'm sorry. How did I embarrass you? And why would you hold on to a grudge like that for so long? She said, you kept correcting my grammar. And I started laughing. I said, I remember that you kept making spelling mistakes, and you would use the wrong words in the wrong context. And I would correct you, and you would defend yourself, knowing that you were wrong. And then one day you kicked me out of class because everybody agreed with me, because that's something that Mrs. Putters had just taught us. She says, you embarrassed me. So now I'm embarrassing you. And then she gets up and she flies out of that room. And I'm just like stunned. And then I got called down to the principal's office. And she had accused me of attempting to strike her. I'm sitting calmly. And I didn't understand any of that. Anything that I had gone through that year. And she tried to get me expelled. And Mr. Wiley wouldn't have it. Because I had good grades and I was a good student. And the things that she was accusing me of were not in my character. And he demanded that she apologize to me. And I told Mr. Wiley what had just finished happening and that I would never do something like that to somebody. And he said, Liz, I believe you. And when we hold on to grudges, anger, fear, resentment, we allow ourselves to be surrounded by evil spirits and dark spirits. And that's what witches send messages to.